Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to AAA and our famous M. However, today is double A and our famous M. Welcome to the show. Tonight, we're definitely talking about blind consequences. Blind consequences is definitely something that the ladies here and myself will go a little deep into so we can understand. As you know, our famous reporter is here, Jazzy, and she will provide you with great comments. Remember to like and subscribe. If I don't say it, please pass it on. We have Andrea sitting in the desk tonight, and also Mo. Anitra is MIA, but she will be back once again. So let's get right into it. So, ladies, the topic is blind consequences. And I'm going to go to Momo tonight because, Mo, when you hear that topic, what does it hit your spirit saying?
Well, when I hear that, I think about the useless loss of life, all of the consequences that are going to result from this action that does not have a purpose. And so when you rush in and you don't know what you're doing, you have no idea what the outcome is. That's the blind consequences. You're blind to it. You're blind to how it's going to affect everybody. And that's where it hits me. It makes me angry because it's so unnecessary. Things are going to happen that don't need to happen.
Absolutely. And I'm kind of glad that you're nailing it from our perspective. It- you know, you know, from our perspective, it's very discerning because so many lives lost, as you indicated, but we don't even have an exit strategy. He said, "Oh, 5 weeks." He doesn't know that.
You know,
And why
He,
would we
he can't
allow it?
count
Well,
either.
Andrea, let's hear from you.
Well, I'm disappointed in the fact that he really doesn't realize the blind consequences of his actions and just going into war and without talking to Congress and in Congress, even after you go to them after he does it, they say okay anyway. I'm like, see, they're gonna kill us. See, and we already had 9/11. We already had September 11th, and I'm not looking for a replay of that. And I think something's gonna happen. He's got me scared now. I haven't been to sleep since Biden left.
I hear
hmm.
you, hon. I hear you. But let's welcome in also Angry Army Vet. Hey, beautiful. We missed you a couple of days, but welcome back. She's out reporting. And we do have Katie. Hey, Miss Katie.
Yes, hi, Katie.
So let's see what Miss Katie is saying. But Andrea, you definitely hit the nail on the head with that. Absolutely. We don't know where he's going. And Katie
And,
says,
and it's
I
just a
feel like,
distraction.
yeah, from the Epstein files, and we definitely gonna hit on it. But Katie indicated, I feel like we're so screwed with these people. They're trying to kill us all. I hear you, Kate. I hear you.
I mean, they was already killing us with the gas prices and the food costs, and then they want to build the Riviera in Gaza. When I looked at the map in the way that, say, Joy Reid presented her show on Saturday, I'm like, they just trying to take over the Middle East, and they want the rich and famous all to go over to Gaza and play. How you gonna play on top of all them dead bodies? That's terrible.
Well, here's the thing, and this kind of touches on what Jazzy said, that she feels like she's been lied to a lot, and people don't know the history. And I know what you're talking about, Andrea. The I think it was Joy Reid that had, when she went all the way back to 1953. Iran was a democracy.
Hmm.
They voted in a prime minister, and in 1953 Britain and the United States decided that they weren't going to put up with the prime minister saying, well, no, you can't have all of our oil. We're going to keep some of our resources for ourselves. They didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
We toppled a democracy. And then what resulted from that was the Shah of Iran. He started off okay and then just totally went, like dictator military type thing. And then there was the revolution in 1979. So these people had a democracy. We destroyed it. We helped destroy that.
Uh-huh.
And
And
now
now and
going
now
in
they
there
want to
now.
destroy ours. Yeah,
Yes. And now they're going in there
that
with
was
no
your
plan,
agreement. Mm-hmm.
no exit strategy. We don't even know. They can't even explain to us why they did it.
Exactly. That is my tag. War. Why? Why? They can't even say. The breakdown, and Angry Army Vet says Joy Reid's breakdown is awesome
It
of the
is.
Iranian history. At least she gives you footage and also a stability in understanding where this is all from. And that's what we need. We need to understand why. Willette, welcome. We want to welcome you. Thank you for being a part of us. Jump in anytime, give us your comments. Jazzy, Iran was beautiful. I had no idea it was US who caused it to become radicalized because we felt entitled to their oil. Huh. This whole time we've been fed lies about them just hating us for having a democracy. You're right, Jazz. We can't
I,
even
wa-
mess with you on that.
I was listening to a video today, and they said we're going, to the Middle East, but we're not going south. And they said that's because he does have that alliance with China already, and with North Korea, and with Russia, and they got that already. You know, they already got the people that are autocrats there, and now they just need to go to the Middle East to take over the rest of the world.
No,
That's what.
we're not siding. Sorry, Andrea. We're not siding with anyone. We're just
No, I'm
only
talking
giving
about
facts.
what Trump is, not
No,
us.
No, no, no. She's commenting on the answering the comment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry
yeah.
again.
Yes, they were radicalized. They don't have a choice. The people do not have a choice. They're living under a dictatorship.
Hmm.
And yes, those people were radicalized. But what we're saying, we're not siding with the Ayatollah. Nobody is shedding a tear that he's gone. He was awful, awful. They are, Iran is they're not good players in the game, right? We're not saying that the regime should be intact. What we're saying is when you go in, you need to have a plan. We did the same thing in Iraq. We left this vacuum of power, and that's how ISIS came to be. So now what is going to fill this vacuum now in Iran? Will it be something worse or will it be something better? The people have been cut off. They can't hear us saying now is the time to rise up. And if they rise up, who's going to back them up?
And we
we
don't
are
hear
told.
what's going on in America. They don't, the stuff that's really going on here, we don't know. We don't know either. They
Trust
might
me.
know about it there, but we don't know about it here. They probably knew they was gonna get bombed and we didn't know it.
Right. But Tone, we are on the side of America because we are here. We live here. We put all of our goals and future in America. So, yes, we are talking about America first. Nevertheless, we still can have our
Opinion.
hearts can be for others as well, those innocent lives that were taken.
And it's not my true country, no way. So I mean, I'm here and it's okay now, but I might have liked Africa too.
One never knows, does one?
They never gave us a choice.
Exactly.
Hey, Nitra.
There she is. I don't see you.
But let's go ahead into while we do have the audience, please like and subscribe. We do populate your comments. They're definitely needed. But here's the first item up. Andrea, why don't you dig in? Because here are some of the consequences.
Yes, this was one of the blind consequences. So far, we had six dead, six servicemen dead, and 18 service members were injured in the Iran operation. Uh, I tried to find out their names, but the names have not been released to the public yet. And I also, I want to send my condolences to their families and wishing the injured Marine or injured military people a speedy recovery. But I'm also sad about what has happened to the people that lived in Iran. It was over 500 plus people, and a lot were children that were passed away. Also, I wouldn't have agreed with this. This man said he would never take us into endless wars again, and it just feels like he just started another war. I really wasn't planning on even reading all of this, just to say that we have Pete Hegseth. He don't know what he doing. He don't know what he doing. Donald Trump don't know what he doing. When I was listening to the Don Lemon show and listening to the idiotic statements that I kept hearing, I'm like, oh my goodness, we in trouble because we voted in some blind consequences.
Mm,
Exactly.
Jazzy said they released the names, so they must have notified the families.
Yeah, because when I looked, it wasn't there. If she has them, could you put it in the chat, or somebody put it in the chat?
So we could
Yeah.
say their names, Jazzy. Thank you so much. Again, she's
Our
our
roving
reporter,
reporter.
our roving reporter out there that can give
Mhm.
us on the spot news. And we'll definitely say their names as we go through it. Anything else from this, ladies?
Yeah,
From
and
this
just
reporting?
the no condolences for the 30,000 protesters killed. Well, I don't know if that number is accurate. That's horrible. And of course, all of the innocent people, the people that are vying for democracy, the people that are just living their lives, the innocent civilians, of course there are condolences for all the losses. It doesn't matter. Iranian, American, it doesn't matter. Israeli civilians, it doesn't matter. People should not be dying. This is a pointless war.
And that's why we don't sleep good, because everything he does is in the middle of the night. And you like, what am I gonna wake up to tomorrow? This dream, I think of this now as the Twilight Zone. This is the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I literally woke up and looked at my phone and there was an alert. We bombed Iran. We are at war. And I'm thinking,
Hmm. And I'm thinking that someone should come get him, instead of us going and hurting other people. Somebody should come get him. And did you see the rash on his neck now? The rash went from his right hand to his right neck, and I don't know who he doing it with, but oh my goodness.
well, he keeps falling asleep with them tight collars. He's probably chafing from the
Yeah,
collar.
that's what somebody said. His
I
dog.
thought it was decay. I thought he was decaying.
Oh
Come on.
my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And some people do think he dying, and I think he trying to, take over the world and pass it on to all of his children before he goes. But I'm gonna keep hope alive. Jesse Jackson gone. I miss him too already, and keep praying that God's will is done. That we'll get through this. We're gonna get through this.
Yep.
This nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts.
No,
Nothing.
no.
Nothing. But
Nothing
with
lasts.
that said, we definitely have to transition from Iran over to another topic that has been hot in the news. Let's talk about it, Andrea. Here you have it.
Well, this really has been a blind distraction. It's a blind distraction with consequences again. When they bought in Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, and then Hillary kept saying, I don't even know the man. I've never been over there. I don't believe him, you know. And Bill, he don't care. He's just there in the Oval Office. But if you could go ahead and play this, because I really, I think Donald Trump should be there. That's what I think.
I think Melania should be there, but that's a whole nother subject.
Hmm.
That's a whole nother subject. But
Raise
let's
your
go
right hand.
ahead.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm
We'll get
the
into this
testimony you're
video.
about to give in this deposition will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And the court reporter, please swear on the witness.
Breaking news, we're now getting the deposition videos of former President Bill Clinton and his wife, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. The couple each faced tough questions from the House Oversight Committee investigating Jeffrey Epstein last week. Take a listen to one moment from Bill Clinton's deposition where he describes his interactions with Epstein.
From my brief acquaintance with Jeffrey Epstein, though it ended years before his crimes came to light, and though I never witnessed during our limited interactions any indication of what was going on, I'm here to offer what little I know so I can do my part to prevent something like this from happening again. I have to just say one personal thing. Since Hillary came in yesterday, she had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Nothing.
I want to bring in CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman live for us. Katrina, that video just came down moments ago. We're still going through it, but what stands out to you so far?
So yes, we are pouring through these deposition videos now. A few moments that have stood out so far are there's one where former President Bill Clinton is asked about the note that he wrote Jeffrey Epstein in that birthday book that came out. There was also something that appeared to be from President Trump. And former President Clinton said that he did, in fact, write that letter, and he thinks that he was asked to do it by a member of his staff, he said. So he did confirm that. He was also asked a lot of pointed questions, like, did he ever have sexual activity with someone introduced to him by Ghislaine Maxwell? He said no. He also said that he wasn't aware of anyone, young girls who were under 18 on the plane when he was with Jeffrey Epstein. He said that he had a much more extensive and long relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell too, and said that it was hard for them when they learned about her crimes and her involvement with Jeffrey Epstein and his crimes. He also said that he never saw Jeffrey Epstein do anything suspicious. And both Bill and Hillary were asked about a series of names, whether they recognized them, people who have come up in the Epstein files, also very pointedly about Huma Abedin, a former top aide of Hillary Clinton's. So these are very long. We're going through all of them, but those are a few moments so far that have stood out.
And I'm curious because it's important.
Let's take a break. Go ahead, Andrea. Andrea, you still with us?
She's muted. You're muted.
Okay. Let's see what our reporters are saying.
Well, I was saying that it's still a little more information, and it was so long that this one is probably only about 3 minutes long total, and I think it's worth listening to. But I still say that Donald Trump should be here.
Okay, let me continue with the video.
To note that Bill and Hillary Clinton were each deposed on different days. What are the key moments that you're looking for in Hillary's deposition?
I mean, with Hillary, she said afterwards that she was asked more times than she could count if she knew Jeffrey Epstein. As you put in that clip, something that Bill Clinton said is that this was personal, that he understood that he had to answer questions, but he did not understand why they had to bring in Hillary, who really had no ties to Jeffrey Epstein. We know that the conversation with her, she said, really went in some very different directions. She was asked about UFOs. She was asked about a conspiracy theory called Pizzagate. And I think we can take a listen to what she had to say about that.
Pizzagate was totally made up. It was an outrageous allegation that ended up hurting a number of people, that caused a deranged young man to show up with his assault rifle and shoot up a local pizzeria. I can't believe you're even referencing it. You should be.
There are connections to the language.
Well, QAnon people believe there are. So
I don't know what
have
QAnon
at
people
it.
believe.
Have at it.
But you've accused certain parties, and I think even right now today, of promoting slow walking or information in ways that fuels conspiracies. In your view, did any Epstein Maxwell related investigations or file handling pre or post 2019 contribute to or intersect with the spread of Pizzagate style theories about Democrat figures?
Objection.
I have no way of answering. That is the most
speculation.
ridiculously.
Have you or your representatives identified any Epstein file content that has been misinterpreted online to revive those claims?
And I think really when we're looking through Hillary Clinton's deposition, I'm going to be looking to see whether any real information came out of this that will help with the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein. You know, she spent many hours in there, about as many hours as her husband, who did in fact appear in those files. What actually came of this deposition?
Yeah, you've definitely had your work cut out for you, Katrina. There's a lot of hours to go through today. Thank you so much for that report.
Okay. Well, you know, Hillary had no business being there, and this video really leads to the next video that do the first ladies really need to be involved in this? You know, if they tell you they have no knowledge, or, you know, and you don't believe them, because a lot of times it's the men that are involved in this. I mean, I don't know any first ladies really that have done anything like this down through history. And I just want to make this aware that I think he went through so much trouble, these blind consequences. He knew it was time for him to be deposed, and he was trying to avoid it at all costs. At all costs, he does not want to be deposed. And I think he's going to have to face this one day.
Before we go into the First Lady, Momo, you have anything you want to add?
Well, I just think that this was embarrassing, actually, for the Republicans. First of all, if they really want people to think that they're taking this investigation seriously, they would have showed up when Lex Wessner was being questioned. He has more involvement with Epstein than Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton. And that's why I feel like this is all just a dog and pony show.
They know it.
Yeah, they finally had a chance to get at the Clintons, and they thought that they would embarrass them, and they FAFO'd. And I think that this is going to backfire on them, because the deposition, I haven't looked fully at all of them, but I'm about halfway through Hillary's deposition, and she just made them look like fools.
She's definitely seasoned. So let's talk about this. Should First Lady Melania Trump be deposed? And we'll come back with their comments.
On these depositions, you did 3 rounds with Secretary Clinton yesterday. Said you asked a number of questions about former President Bill Clinton, including whether the former First Lady had any feelings about young women massaging her husband. Why did you ask that? Why was that important?
Well, there were statements that have been made. I have to be careful about what I say because the transcript is not public yet, neither is the video from the interview. But statements have been made, I believe, publicly about President Trump and why he should be called in. And I think it's fair to ask questions about the standard of the types of people, who they are, and why they should be called in for the Oversight Committee. And I was making a comparison based on certain statements made yesterday, and making that clear that, you know, everybody should be treated equally, and did the same standard apply to her husband? That was the line of questioning I was going for.
All right. And so asking her what she knew or how she felt about her husband, by that standard, would current First Lady Melania Trump be a fair witness before your committee?
I don't believe so. And I don't believe that President Trump, because should be called before the Oversight Committee, he has answered questions. And the victims that I've spoken to actually exonerated President Trump. And so the victims I've spoken to and their family members have not exonerated people like former President Bill Clinton, who's denied being on the island. But I will bring out some documents today that show that Jeffrey Epstein was directing victims and or witnesses to deny he ever was at the island. And I think this is going to be, there are going to be a lot of people that need to come before the Oversight Committee today. This morning, I said that Howard Lutnick needs to come before the Oversight Committee. He should answer questions about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. I think these are all things that are on the table, Republican and Democrat alike, not Melania, not President Trump. Because of the information I've gathered talking to victims, I'm focused on getting justice for the victims, getting the facts right, and ensuring that the truth eventually comes out.
There is this matter of the documents from 2019, these FBI documents of a witness interview who said that she was victimized by then citizen Donald Trump. Those documents not turned over by the Department of Justice. So do you have questions about those documents?
Oh, absolutely. And I actually wrote a letter to the DOJ. I've written a letter to the CIA and to the Southern District of New York about missing documents. My understanding is the DOJ responded, I believe yesterday, that those other documents are duplicates potentially. I'd like to know if that is the truth. And then the other thing is that my understanding is after that interview or a series of interviews, the FBI deemed the witness, the alleged victim not credible. I do not believe she received a settlement from the Epstein estate either. I've warned the media that 2019 and later, some of the claims in there are crazy and wild and insane. I'm even in the files after 2019, which is just oddly bizarre. But we've got to be careful, and we don't want to mention names on the floor, for example, that aren't real individuals involved. But I want to take everything seriously, and I'm not looking at this through a partisan lens. And when you see me come out with a list of people that need to be interviewed by oversight, you're going to see Republicans and Democrats alike. You're even going to see women who I believe were selling other women to Jeffrey Epstein.
She said her name is in there too. That's because she was at the island. I mean, that's why your name is in there too. Donna was there, you were there, and they were making sure everybody was redacted except for the people that survived it. You know, they survived it, and it wasn't because of you they survived it. This is all crazy. She a survivor. Yeah.
I agree with you, Katie. You know, she screams all the time. She uses that as her narrative, being an SA survivor. How then can you shield Donald Trump when he is mentioned over 38,000 times in the Epstein files? Yes, he should be deposed. He should be asked questions. And so should Melania. Melania had a previous relationship with Epstein even before she met Donald Trump. So, of course, she should be deposed. She should be asked questions. They don't get a pass because they're president and the first lady, obviously.
And Hillary is a very smart woman. She's been in politics for a long time. She even trained for this position, and they did a documentary on it. So I'm glad she went and talked to them and cleared her name because, and she did it brilliantly. And then they tried to talk about that she got loud and out of control, but no. Every time she tried to answer the question, somebody would cut her off so that she couldn't finish her answer. You know, at least she didn't, do like, what did he say? I'm trying to think of the one that went off and said,
Nancy Mace.
No, the one that was talking about the stock market.
Oh,
Pam Bondi?
Yeah, Pam Bondi.
But the Dow.
Yeah, the Dow. At least she didn't start talking about the Dow and sounding ridiculous. Yes, I think Melania should be deposed. Like you said, she knew Epstein. I don't know who knew Epstein first. The way it seems is that she knew Epstein before Donald Trump knew Epstein. And so she knows more than Donald Trump knows.
Yeah, well, allegedly, Epstein introduced Donald Trump to Melania. I don't think that fact has been confirmed, but, that's the That's the general knowledge that's going around.
And all the pictures that he has redacted, we haven't seen the truth. And he started a war. He started blind consequences to get away from the truth. And the truth, if he don't tell it in this life, he gonna tell it in the next one. It's gonna come out, even if it takes a long time. I believe
Lori King, I agree
somewhere.
with you. Lori King, I agree. Definitely. She doesn't act like an SA survivor. Absolutely not. It seems she has a hidden agenda. She's very
That's how she acts, like she does have a hidden agenda.
like she has a hidden agenda. Um, Great feedback tonight. Definitely make sure you like and subscribe. This comment is like or is off the chains. Thank you for sharing your feelings. No matter how it is, you don't have to agree with us. It is how you feel. Nevertheless, there is their side, our side, and the truth. And we usually fall in between there somewhere. But also, I would like to definitely get some of these reporters in. Hey, welcome to the show, Riley Davis. We have Lori King. Thank you for joining us. We really, really appreciate you guys coming on. Please make sure you like and subscribe because we need it in
Thank
order
you,
for us
Lori.
to continue. The Dow. Absolutely. It's at 50. Really? Really?
Well, look, you know what? You just ignore that. Look at the way he spelled stupid.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, they part of it. They joined, and so we need all kinds of comments. So I think we take away from the story when we give energy to it.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're right. I think we all cry inside. I know you're saying, Lori, literally crying. However, we do cry inside for those women because everyone is looking at them as women. These were young girls,
They were babies.
impressionable babies, yes, that didn't have the guidance that, some of us probably did or the know-how, and all they saw was the money, the glitz, the glamour, and they thought that they would be okay. So, yes, it's easy for everyone to judge others in their armpit chair.
And they don't tell us all the people that are missing, because today I saw a video of this lady, young girl at 14. She's been missing. She started missing at 14, and today she would have been 28.
Wow.
So it's a lot of people out there expecting. She's an African American woman, and that especially don't get mentioned in the media. And with the way Donald Trump controls the media now, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that is so true. But guess what, guys? Let's make it a little lighter. Let's take it down a page before everybody gets so serious. I want to bring something to the stage, and let's see. It's time to go. Andre, you want to set it up, or
Well,
just let it play?
Sometimes I need something funny just to break up what we're talking about, because sometimes it's tough sometimes. And this happened a long time ago with Patti LaBelle, and it was so funny to me, I just had to bring it.
Well, let's hear it.
I wanted to slap that heifer so hard. She said, Mr. Bell, don't eat the paper. I said, what's wrong with you, boo? I don't eat paper. There's paper on it.
Yeah, you can't eat the paper.
Nope.
Now, these are
But
made
you can
with...
touch them with your hands.
That is true. 2 kinds of cake mix. And also, one of the little secrets I use diet hot cocoa packets to make to really amp up the chocolate flavor.
Diet hot cocoa. What's Patty saying over there?
She is causing trouble.
Yeah, but what makes you think I could eat the paper, boo?
Eat the paper. No paper. Paper bad, cake good.
Okay, next.
You're the one that wanted to eat the paper.
I didn't want to eat the paper. What's wrong with y'all?
Okay, again, frosting is made with fat-free whipped cream, that like marshmallow cream, which is also a great ingredient. And
Okay.
Moving on.
Okay. Girl, yeah, but I don't eat paper. I just made sure my hands were clean. when I said to the audience, this is paper.
Yes.
I meant that I'm not touching the actual cupcake, boo.
Oh, I see.
Good one, Patty.
Patty was not going to let that go till she made her point.
Exactly. She had to let it go. Thanks, Andrea. We needed that release real quickly. Please remember to like and subscribe. Come on, we need that. Hopefully that made you kind of smile, but we're going to get back into some that we'd like to take you through. So,
Patty LaBelle
as you
says she
know,
have more sense than to eat some paper.
exactly. Make no sense. But let's switch gears and let's go to a different kind of lifestyle. You know, we all get in here each and every day and try to prepare, and we always want to bring you something different. So we're going to switch it up and go into our next segment. Take it away, our resident chef.
Well, cooking is an adventure. A good chef is an artist. And if you really, really, really get into it, you can travel the world right in your own kitchen. But one of the things that is very vital to any meal, and I think most people don't think about it, is layering flavors. If you could put the article up for me.
The article first? Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Layering favors. You ready to rock and roll?
Okay. Okay. And of course, I'm not going to read the whole article, but you know, flavor is a secret ingredient that turns a simple dish into a memorable meal. But flavor doesn't appear all at once. It's built in layers. And usually you start with aromatics. And those are things like onions, garlic, shallots, leeks, fresh herbs. And what you want to do is you start off with those. And when you saute them in a little bit of olive oil or butter, you're bringing out of like the sweetness, the sugar in the produce that you're cooking. You want to cook it until it's light brown, and that brings out a sweetness. And that's like the first layer. When you go through that, you start with the aromatics and you want to saute those. Then you're going to develop the flavor further with seasonings. Now, this is where your salt, you know, your dry herbs, dry seasonings come in. You want to, you know, put those in there, and they're going to enhance that flavor. But that's the second layer of flavor, and it provides like brightness and contrast, especially like if you put fresh herbs at the very end, or lemon zest or citrus of some type. It just really brings out, you know, the flavor and also the look of the food. You know, we're very visual as people. And if something looks really, really good, sometimes it tastes even better when it looks great. Then once you get the seasonings in, that's when you get to the deglazing and the sauces. That's when you add your meats and things like that to the pot. You brown them, and you usually want to have it on a pretty high heat, because what you want is those little flakes on the bottom that people scrape off. You don't want to burn it, but all of those little bits and pieces on the bottom of the pot, when you add like chicken stock or wine or, you know, whatever liquid that you're cooking with, that's when all those flavors start to blend together. And then the very finishing touch is the final layer. You want to drizzle like olive oil. You want to put maybe just another little sprinkle of salt, maybe some lemon zest, you know, if that's going to enhance the flavor of your meal, or some fresh herbs. And what that does is it brightens up the pot. You stir it all in, and there you have your adventure in cooking. And if anybody's ever cooked gumbo, that's a perfect example of how you layer flavors, because you're not going to dump everything in the pot all at once. You're going to do it in sections. And that's what it is. And the conclusion, I'll read that. Layering flavor transforms ordinary meals into memorable experiences by starting with aromatics, seasoning thoughtfully, deglazing for richness, and finishing with brightness. You create dishes that are complex, satisfying, and truly enjoyable. Explore the art of layering in your own kitchen, experiment with ingredients, and discover this technique can elevate everyday cooking. And like I said, cooking should be fun. It's an adventure. You know, I have cookbooks from all different parts of the world, and every time you cook a different dish, it's like going on a trip, you know, and it's fun. It's fun. So,
well, my problem was I couldn't afford all the ingredients.
Oh, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I had 3 kids. I was like, okay, I got some ground beef and an onion.
Well, there you go.
And ground beef, an onion, and the pasta, and that was it.
Okay, well, here's what you do. You got a little salt, pepper, you got some dried herbs, right? You caramelize those onions, bring out that sweetness. Then you're going to add the ground beef to that. You're going to, you know, saute it till it's brown and get it, you know, like a little bit of crispy. You're going to add some seasonings to it. And then you're going to put some liquid in it, preferably chicken stock or beef stock or some sort of stock. I don't like to cook with water. If a recipe calls for water, I ignore it. And I use like chicken stock or something like that. And then you throw your pasta in, right? And it's going to simmer. The pasta's going to soften. You can turn like everyday ingredients into a fantastic taste experience.
All right, now, see, y'all listening?
Yeah, it doesn't matter how little or how much you have in your cabinets. You can make something work all the time, all the time. Now,
Absolutely. So let's take a look at some of the videos.
Yep.
You ready?
Yep.
Store, there's a couple of things you can do with it. You can chop it really fine, put it in a cheesecloth, run water
Pause it
through
for
it,
just a
wring it
second,
out until the green is
August.
all gone, lay it out to dry.
This video that's coming up, what I'm doing is I'm explaining how you preserve fresh herbs. Sometimes you buy a little bit too much, you don't need it all. And instead of just tossing it or leaving it in your fridge where it's going to wilt or something like that, there are ways to preserve it. And this video is explaining that.
Okay, good.
Dry cilantro, dry parsley, or the second way, which I'm doing right now, you put it in a blender with a little lime juice, lemon juice, a little bit of water, you puree it, and then you pour it into an ice cube tray and freeze it. And you've got little bulbs of cilantro or parsley, and it's about the equivalent of 2 tablespoons chopped real fine. There you go.
That's a good idea.
Yes, it is.
Find yourself.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And the next video is showing the other way that you can do it, where you can actually dry it out. You know, if you don't want to freeze it that way, you can dry it out and make it like dry parsley. This is the method to do that.
Interesting little tidbit about cilantro. If you're growing it in your garden, you have a patch, you might want to let some of it flower and seed, because the seed is coriander seed. 2 spices in one.
Oh, I think I gave you the wrong video. I'm so sorry.
Interesting little tidbit.
I am so sorry. So what I'll do, I sent you the wrong video, August. The video that I was showing, you take cheesecloth, you chop up whatever parsley, cilantro, whatever herb it is that you have, you put it in the cheesecloth. And what you do is you tighten up the top, you run it through water, and you run the water through it and you squeeze it until the green goes away. And then what you do is you open up the cheesecloth and you let it sit and it dries out. And it's just like having, you know, buying the dry parsley or cilantro or something like that. So it's going to last longer than if you just leave it.
It doesn't take away the flavor when you run the green all off of it?
No. The green is just color, and the green is actually what wilts it and makes it deteriorate. So what you're doing is you're squeezing all that out and you're drying it out so it lasts longer. It's almost like dehydrating something.
Yeah, because I was thinking you was gonna put it in the oven and dehydrate it and grind it and then keep it in, like a shaker.
That's another way to do things also. You if you got fruit that you don't think that you're gonna finish before it goes bad, chop it up. If you have a dehydrator, great. But if you don't have a dehydrator, you just put it on some wax paper, put it in the oven on very low, like 250, something like that, and let it just kind of bake and dry out. You could do it with fruits, you could do it with vegetables, you could do it with herbs, you could do it with anything. So dehydration is also a good way to preserve something
We got
that you
some
have.
extra strawberries right now because they had a good sale on them.
Mhm.
And my son said, "Mommy, I'm going to put them in the freezer." I said, "The freezer?"
You can do that too. You can do that too. The problem with that though is that you have to make sure that it's sealed very, very, very well, because even when you just put it in a Ziploc freezer bag or something like that, it still has a tendency to get freezer burn if it's in there for too long. So you have to wrap the fruit in plastic wrap, seal it up really good. If you have one of those sealers, that's great. If you don't, it's fine. Wrap it up in the plastic wrap, put it in the bag, make sure all the air is out of the bag before you seal it up, and kind of roll it and stick it in the freezer.
Well,
Okay.
that is a great cooking tip. Thank you, our resident chef.
Thank
That's
you.
a good thing. Hopefully, like Jazzy said, she's going to write it down. She'll run this tape again and be able to take some of your tips away. Let's get back to serious business, and we will definitely show you what's going on. The next video is to really close out Black History Week. Last week, we kind of just went out and we didn't really finish Black History Month. And I wanted to make sure that we close it out with the great punch. Who will you remember? So let's go to the video.
It's the end of Black History Month. All month, I've been thinking about memory, about how statistically most of us are only going to be remembered for 3 generations. And then after that, your name turns into a line on a tree, a date, maybe a blurry photo, or some distant story. I don't like those odds. So I've been sitting with that because absolutely not. Not this man that I'm going to tell you about. I'm only going to get first names in this one because, anonymity. But we're going to talk about my dad, Emmanuel, Miss May's son, because being Miss May's son is already lineage. It's already a standard. And the thing about my dad is he's not loud about who he is. He doesn't have to be. He walks into any room and there's this steadiness, this calm authority, not the kind that demands attention, the kind that makes you feel safe, just like my grandma. And that's different. He's twice retired, an incredibly hard worker. But that's not what defines him to me. What defines him is that after giving decades of service to the Navy, he still chose to keep serving. He chose the community college system, not because it's glamorous, not because it's prestigious, but because that's where he felt that he could help the most. Students who don't always believe in themselves, students who may not have guidance, students who are trying to rebuild. He sits with them, he explains systems, breaks things down, tells them that they can do way more than they think. And he's become a father to people who never had one, not by announcing it, but by showing up. I've watched him give time he didn't have, energy he didn't owe, patience that most people just don't possess. And I don't say this lightly. He shaped me. The way I think, the way I research, the way I refuse to accept surface level answers. Now imagine how that was for him when I was growing up, though. He taught me that intelligence is a responsibility, that leadership is quiet and service is not seasonal. When people talk about Black history, they always reach for the famous themes. For me, it's men like my father, Black men who carried responsibility with dignity, who kept pouring into the community long after they could have rested, who became anchors for people that were drifting. That kind of life deserves way more than 3 generations. That kind of life deserves to echo. So when I talk about Black history, I'm not just talking about names in textbooks. I'm talking about men like my dad, who built stability in a country that didn't always make that easy, who served, who retired, and who served again, who chose education because he believes that that's where change really lives. That's legacy. That is impact. So as we close out this 100th anniversary of the intentional remembrance of Black history, Who do you refuse to let disappear after 3 generations? Say their name, because some people deserve to echo way longer than statistics say they will. Say his name, Emmanuel. It's the end of Black.
Wow. That was great. That kind of teared me up because when she was talking about her father, all I could think about was my dad, my daddy.
And that's what I want. I
Yeah.
want you guys to think of someone that is special in your life. Some people don't have a dad. Others may knew their dad and their dad has now become an angel. But remember that name, whomever it is. It can be someone that just stood up for you when no one else would, that gave you that last dime, that last quarter, that last dollar, that bought you food. Say their names because women, we got to remember, men, you have to maintain. And children, it's time for you to listen and understand the pain so you don't have to go through it again. So, before we close out tonight, I definitely want to do a quick round robin. We talked about the war, we talked about Epstein, we talked about who should be deposed, and also we closed out Black history. So, let's go over to Andrea.
Well, one thing, I don't think you can ever close out Black history because Black history is American history. And we continue on each day, good, bad, or ugly. We keep going on, we keep helping. We do our best every day. So, the one person that made me remember, though, and her name is Andrea, is my mother. I was named after my mother, and
Oh.
and so I miss her, and I still miss her, and I'll always miss her. I love my mama.
Oh, so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to say her name, Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Let's go over to Momo.
Well, as we're dealing with Operation Epstein distraction, um, getting our young soldiers killed, killing civilians in Iran, all the destruction and everything that's going on. I agree with Andrea. Let's say some names that mean something to us, right? My names are Phaedra, Elvira, Gail, and William. Those are the people that shaped me into the person that I am. Unfortunately, 2 of them are not with me. They're angels in the sky, but I have the other 2 with me still, and I cherish them eternally.
And we will say all their names. That's who made you who you are. Thank you, Momo. Well, for me, guys, it's a different fate. My angel just went on, my dad. So
No.
he
Mhm.
is now an angel in the sky, but he will continue to look over us. And
Mhm.
he didn't leave us without his words of wisdom. And I must say, he did it his way and without a cause. And if he felt that you can convince him, go ahead and try. That's how he did it. And you knew when you got to him because he will flash that smile. And that's when you know it is of you have defeated him in his thinking. But thank you everyone for being with us tonight. It is war and we are at war and we didn't ask for it. We didn't get a chance to vote. That's why we have Congress out there to help us. But hey, they just walked right into it. And no one talked about that tonight. No one really said, thanks, Katie. No one really said how great this country is when we don't have boundaries and we need them. Without boundaries, there's chaos. And people need to think about that.
Like that, Lori.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Lori. I wanted to highlight it.
She said, "My father is a great man. He loved his daughter. He taught the truth for American history. He taught us, his children, truth, the good, bad, and ugly. I am grateful for him. I like that, Lori.
Amen.
Thank you, Lori. We truly appreciate it.
And
And
I
also,
want your father to rest in peace too, August.
Yes.
thank you. Thank you so much. And he shall. I really, truly appreciate the camaraderie. I thank you guys for showing up. Please make sure you like and subscribe. And we will definitely see you tomorrow. So let me give you the rundown. On Mondays, you have the Millennia Gaze. On Tuesday, it is the Triple A with M. On Wednesday, you have everyone from We the People Unite. Thursday, I believe Katie has her section that is a corner. And on Friday, the Voices from the Edge. That is a whole week. So please make sure if you can't catch us, you'll catch us Wednesday and Friday. We truly appreciate you and try to have a great Tuesday. It is
And
only the
Willette
beginning
came over
of
from
the
the
week.
John Linda show.
It is only the beginning of the week. Please like and subscribe and bring a friend next time. Enjoy your night. Bye.
You. Bye-bye.
We the people unite.